Kevin De Bruyne's arrival at Napoli has officially been confirmed, generating huge excitement and surprise across the football world. The move caught many off guard, especially since several reports had suggested that Napoli would fall apart after their Scudetto winning season. However, President Aurelio De Laurentiis made a bold decision to retain head coach Antonio Conte, the architect of their recent success, and backed him by signing one of the world's top midfielders. Bringing in De Bruyne marks a monumental statement of intent for the club. So, what exactly will the Belgian maestro bring to Naples? Among many qualities, one stands out in particular: the potential for an explosive partnership with Scott McTominay, one of Europe's best box-to-box midfielders. Together, they could form the kind of midfield combination that Napoli fans have only dreamed of. With the arrival of Kevin De Bruyne, Napoli have not only secured one of the world's top playmakers, but also added a symbol of their ambition to rise to the elite level of European football. Many had expected Napoli to lose key figures after their Serie A triumph, with rumors of Antonio Conte potentially leaving, along with their Champions League dreams. But instead, the club stunned SerieA by not only retaining Conte, but also completing a sensational move for De Bruyne, a master of creativity, a player who dominated the Premier League for nearly a decade. His arrival sends a clear message. Napoli aren't just here to participate, they're here to compete for everything. What makes this transfer so remarkable isn't just the tactical benefit, but also its psychological and strategic impact. De Bruyne is a player well-versed in title pressure, fierce competition, and high-stakes knockout matches. With him, Conte now has someone capable of breaking intense pressing with a single clever pass, unlocking deep defensive blocks with just 2 touches, or even deciding a match with a thunderous strike from distance. This is the kind of player Napoli have lacked in recent years, and the kind that allows Conte to build a more versatile system, one less dependent on raw pace or unpredictable flair from the front line. Perhaps the most significant message in Kevin De Bruyne's move to Napoli is the fact that he chose them over offers from Saudi Arabia, MLS, or a return to the Bundesliga. It's a powerful signal. He still wants to compete at the highest level, to chase the Champions League title, and to write his name into football history. One of the first connections fans make when imagining De Bruyne at Napoli is with Romelu Lukaku. The two formed a devastating partnership for Belgium, the creator and the finisher. Their near telepathic understanding produced countless goals during Belgium's golden generation, many beginning with one of De Bruyne's razor-sharp passes and ending with Lukaku's ruthless finishing. Now that both wear Napoli's sky blue colors at the Diego Armando Maradona Stadium, supporters can dream of those moments returning. But this isn't just nostalgia, it's a tactical solution for Antonio Conte. If Conte needs a true number 10, who can deliver early balls and set strikers up in perfect positions, there's no better candidate than De Bruyne. And if Lukaku needs a partner who understands every stride, every body feint, every movement, then De Bruyne is that player. In a league like Serie A, where space is limited and defenses are highly disciplined, chemistry of this kind is priceless. Kevin De Bruyne offers Napoli far more than just magical assists. He brings orchestration, tempo control, and the ability to stretch defenses in ways few players in Italy can match. The partnership between Kevin De Bruyne and Scott McTominay is as unexpected as it is intriguing. On one hand, you have a creative genius. On the other, a tireless workhorse, once labeled as clunky and unrefined. But a closer look reveals a different story. McTominay scored 12 goals in Serie A last season, the majority coming from perfectly timed, intelligent off-the-ball runs into the box. He doesn't dribble, doesn't dazzle with tricks, but he reads the game brilliantly, spotting gaps in the defense, sensing when opponents lose shape, and placing the ball calmly when it counts. This makes him an ideal partner for a passer like De Bruyne, someone who doesn't need overlapping chaos, just one well-timed run to deliver a pinpoint pass. Tactically, this duo is a gift for Antonio Conte. In his familiar 3-4-2-1 system, McTominay won't be burdened with deep defensive duties like at Manchester United. Instead, he'll operate more as a mezzala, shifting right or left between channels, pressing, and making late runs into the area. Meanwhile, De Bruyne will drop slightly deeper, almost in a Regista meets number 10 hybrid role, with time to observe and dictate play. When opponents sit deep, De Bruyne will slide passes between defenders into the half spaces, where McTominay excels at arriving with his strength, timing, and spatial awareness. SerieA defenses are known for their structure and discipline. They don't get broken by flashy plays. But if there's anyone capable of losing a marker with just one clever movement, it's McTominay. And if there's anyone capable of spotting that run before it even happens, it's De Bruyne. One particularly intriguing aspect of Kevin De Bruyne's game is his uncanny ability to elevate the attacking output of midfielders around him. At Manchester City, players like Bernardo Silva, Ilkay Gundogan, and even Rodri all exceeded their expected goal contributions when playing near him. That wasn't luck. It came from De Bruyne's gravity on the pitch, his timing, and his unmatched vision to deliver the ball at the perfect moment. In Serie A, Scott McTominay could become Napoli's own version of Gundogan. Not flashy, but clinical, decisive, and ruthlessly well-timed. From a mental perspective, this move could be liberating for McTominay. No longer burdened with patching up the midfield during injury crises, playing out of position as a center back, or covering for possession-heavy teammates, he'll finally get to play as himself, a powerful second-wave runner with an eye for goal. And now, with De Bruyne beside him, he has a partner who can read every shoulder drop, every body check, and every surging run into the box, all without needing a shout. In short, while the De Bruyne-Lukaku connection is rooted in shared history and chemistry from the Belgian national team, the potential link between De Bruyne and McTominay represents a new kind of tactical symbiosis, a chemical reaction no one expected, but one that could prove transformational. Perhaps that very reaction is what will carry Napoli to new heights in next season's Champions League. This might be a quiet handshake that delivers thunderous results. If the mechanism between De Bruyne and McTominay clicks into place, then McTominay scoring 10 to 15 goals a season is no longer a fantasy. With Kevin pulling the strings behind him, anything is possible. Napoli are assembling what looks like a true double-barreled weapon. Lukaku the hammer, McTominay the dagger, and De Bruyne the loaded magazine filled with piercing passes. In Antonio Conte's favored three-at-the-back system, he's never been obsessed with flooding forward. What he values is efficiency, the clinical strike. And with Kevin in behind, Napoli are equipped to launch razor-sharp counterattacks. A quick swivel from Lobotka, a delicate lofted pass from De Bruyne, and suddenly McTominay is cutting in, or Lukaku is turning and finishing with ruthless simplicity. This becomes especially vital with Napoli returning to the Champions League, a competition where Conte has publicly admitted his struggles. His teams have often been too cautious, overly defensive, and creatively limited when facing Europe's tight defensive units. But this time, he may finally be ready to shelve the rigid 3-5-2 and transition to a more fluid structure, made possible by De Bruyne's presence. A player capable of changing a game with just 2 passes. A player smart enough to know when to speed up the tempo, when to slow the game down, and, more importantly, when to find McTominay or Lukaku in the box without needing the entire team to overload the flanks. That is exactly the kind of player Conte has lacked throughout his Champions League career, someone who simply makes everything easier. Back when Antonio Conte had Christian Eriksen at Inter Milan, his team made noticeable progress in European competitions. But even at his best, Eriksen was never at Kevin De Bruyne's level. More importantly, De Bruyne doesn't need a system to elevate him. He is the system. He's one of the few players in world football around whom an entire tactical structure can revolve without any loss of efficiency. And as we look at how De Bruyne departed Manchester City, it's hard not to recall Andrea Pirlo. At the time, AC Milan believed Pirlo was past his prime, too slow, no longer pressing, and approaching retirement. They let him go. But Juventus saw things differently. They placed their trust in him, gave him the keys to the midfield, and the rest is history. Pirlo became the architect of a new Juve era, a visionary and living symbol of their modern identity. Now, Napoli may be embarking on a similar journey. They haven't signed De Bruyne for shirt sales or PR. They've signed a thinker. De Bruyne may no longer sprint like he did at 28, but his vision, accuracy, and decision-making haven't aged. They've matured like fine wine. In a league like Serie A, where subtlety matters more than speed, and in a system that doesn't demand 60% possession, he becomes even more valuable. Every Napoli attack doesn't need to be frequent. It just needs to be deadly. Bruyne is the perfect weapon. His very presence gives weight to every possession. No team dares to recklessly push high when they know one through ball could split their defense. And when that happens, McTominay will explode into the gap between center backs like a true predator. And when physical battles are required, Lukaku will be there, ready to receive the ball with his back to goal, hold off defenders, and allow the second line to surge forward. Antonio Conte isn't a coach known for flashy tactics, but he excels at maximizing the tools he has to create football that cuts deep. With double-barreled threat of McTominay and Lukaku, and one of the finest passers in Premier League history, loading the bullets, Napoli may finally be equipped to do what they've never done before, go deep in the Champions League. And if Bruyne truly explodes at Napoli, there's a chance those at Manchester City will find themselves wondering, just like AC Milan once did with Pirlo, how they ever let such a genius go, simply because he was 33 years old.